Welcome VR enthusiasts. This month is absolutely crazy for flat game releases, but if you still have some time for VR in your schedule and don't know what to play, maybe this list will give you some ideas. There are new VR games releasing nearly every day. I skimmed through the flood to pull out those that managed to catch my attention, either through a unique idea, art style, premise, or any other reason really. So this is a list of my top 10 VR games releasing in February and beyond. Ultrawings 2 is a single player aerial adventure game. The first part was pretty popular with a nearly 90% positive on Steam, and this seems to be more Ultrawings, but in prettier and with more content. The devs promise 40 to 60 hours of playtime. It will have several hundred handcrafted missions with varying objectives and a progression system which allows you to unlock new aircraft and islands. There will be air-to-air combat, which wasn't in the first game, and more realistic physics, which gives every vehicle a unique handling. You can play with motion controls or with a HOTAS setup if you prefer. No clue how the pistol sections would work with that though. I haven't played the first game, but this definitely looked like a lot of fun. Flying in VR is always exciting, and for some reason I like the idea of flipping switches in the cockpit with motion controls. The game is scheduled for release on February 3rd for the Quest and sometime in February on Steam. It is not coming to PSVR, but the developers aim for a release on the PSVR 2 whenever that thing will hit the shelves. It seems the PSVR 2 announcement has put the PlayStation VR into a bit of a limbo. The Deed of Deception starts out as a 4-player co-op puzzle game. You and your friends come to a creepy manor and you have to cooperate to find a deed to unimaginable riches. Turns out there is no fortune to inherit. The player who finds the deed becomes possessed and his task changes to stealing the souls of his former friends. At this point the game turns from co-op to PvP. I get some Dead by Daylight vibes from the description. There are 4 playable characters with different stats, strengths and weaknesses. Each game the layout of the manor is randomized, so is the task the possessed player has to achieve in the PvP section of the game to ensure endless replayability. I think that's a neat concept, could be fun with friends. While I like the concept, I'm not completely convinced that the game will make it. The developers recently started a Kickstarter which failed badly, and judging by the trailer the game really doesn't look ready for release. I still hope they manage to pull through. The game is scheduled to release on February 16th on Steam. They plan to have crossplay over all platforms, but there are no confirmed release dates for any of the other platforms yet. Era of Combat Boxing is, you guessed it, a VR boxing game. The game is built specifically for multiplayer. It strives to achieve a balance between realism and entertainment value, and rewards, as the developer puts it, physical and martial prowess, meaning it's gonna be exhausting as fuck. You can do solo training exercises and fights against the AI. The main focus however will be PvP. There will be several match types including a ranked playlist, there will be a reputation system, in-game currency and the possibility to win or lose titles. There are already a bunch of VR boxing games out there. I still think this fills a niche. So more popular boxing games are single player only or at least have a single player focus. So if you like to do some boxing without the danger of getting your nose flattened, or you just want a game that will double as a workout session, or you want to fight your way up a ranked ladder, this might be the game to look out for. It is planned to release into early access on Steam on February 19th. Deadness. Deadness is a measure of being dead? Deadness is a VR horror game. You wake up in an old research facility and have to figure out what is going on, and how to get out of there, I presume. You are not alone down there, and you are confined to a wheelchair. The premise sounds kinda generic, but I am sold on the whole wheelchair idea. You will control the chair the same way you would in real life. It is a manual wheelchair obviously. If done right, this could make traversal feel awfully realistic, much more realistic than moving with your thumbstick at any rate. This game already looks extremely terrifying as it is, and the whole wheelchair theme makes it that much more oppressive. This is not going to be a fun time, I can tell you that much. The game is scheduled to release on Steam on February 22nd. That's 3 days before Elden Ring, so there's a bit of time for Deadness right there. Helm or High Water is an asymmetrical local co-op pirate naval combat game. Let me break that down for you. This is a 2-player co-op game where one player is in VR while the other player uses M&K or a controller on a flat screen. As a VR player you take the role of the captain. Your job is to steer the ship, order the cannons to fire and participate in on-deck sword and gun combat. The other player takes more of a tactical role. He manages the sails and crew, aims the cannons and keeps an overview over the map and the health of the ship. The game supports local play on one PC, or you can use Steam's remote play together feature when you are not in the same household. Either way, you only need one copy of the game for the two of you. planned features for post-release are ship and player customization, ship upgrades and upgrades to your hometown. I think this is a neat concept. This could be a fun little game. If you want to play with your mate or significant other but you only have one VR headset, this could be just the game for you. No solo play though, keep that in mind. The game releases in February into early access on Steam. A precise day is not known so far. Deep Space Salvage Crew is a roguelike first-person shooter. You fight your way through procedurally generated spaceships, collect weapons and equipment until you reach a bridge to claim salvage rights. Salvage ships will expand your arsenal and let you explore further into the galaxy. You fight renegade AI that use salvaged ship parts as improvised bodies. The game will be combat focused, but stealth is an option. The devs promise detailed firearm simulations and an expansive weapon customization system. I do like me a good roguelike, and the setting, fighting your way through spaceship wrecks, yeah, I'm in. The game is planned for a release on Steam in the first quarter of 2022, so it might be February, maybe March. Return to Kurgansk is a stalker-inspired survival horror game. As these games tend to do, it plays in a post-Soviet setting after the nuclear catastrophe. You are in the zone, filled with monsters and dangerous anomalies. You need to scavenge for supplies and hunt to keep yourself fed. You can craft tools, weapons and equipment. You will not only have to take care of your physical well-being but also of your mental health. The trailer looks a bit janky and we already have Into the Radios, which is, pretty good. So do we really need another VR stalker? Well yeah, sure we do. I think this is one of the most intense and intriguing settings that was ever created in any form of media. I love the original novel Roadside Picnic by the Strugatsky brothers. I love the Tarkovsky movie Stalker, and it goes without saying I love the series of video games. So I am very much okay with another take in form of a VR game. There's a flat game called Shadows of Kurgansk. I'm not completely sure if this is a sequel or a reimagining. The developer was criticized for seemingly having abandoned their previous game, so that is something to keep in mind. The game is planned to release on the first quarter of this year on Steam. The Living Remain is a story-driven zombie shooter. The game will have a classical single-player campaign with a focus on storytelling. You are playing as a former soldier and search for his family, which, may not be the most interesting premise for a story. Well, there will be ranged and melee combat, you will scavenge for materials to craft ammo and upgrade weapons. The game will have physics-based environments, which means you can break glass and push around objects. There will be climbing and puzzle solving. While zombie shooters are a dime a dozen these days, I think this looks rather promising. I like the destructible environments, and if they manage to turn this ex-soldier search for family into an engaging story, this could turn out to be a pretty neat experience. The game will be released soon on Steam, which could mean basically anything, but I get the feeling that the release is not that far away. Gazzlers is a wacky VR roguelike shooter. You ride on an armored locomotive through a diesel-fueled world, with the singular purpose of reaching the final station. There you must save the machine god. On your way you will fight off hordes of Gazzlers that engage you with a slew of different tactics. Each run will throw new enemies, weapons, upgrades and challenges at you. You will unlock components and mods that you can use to create unique and crazy weaponry. The game will be playable solo and in co-op with up to 4 players. This just looks like fun, plain and simple. The art style, the wackiness, I don't know, I wanna play it. There's no confirmed date, but it is planned to release early this year, that would be about now, into early access on Steam and on the Quest. A PSVR release will come later. Lost Ember is a critically acclaimed adventure exploration game that is mainly praised for its storytelling, soundtrack and art design. The game takes you on a journey through a post-apocalyptic world where you discover stories about the fall of mankind. Oh, and you play as a wolf, with the ability to possess any creature you encounter to experience the world through their unique perspective. This is a VR port of the original game. It will not support motion control, so you'll play this with an old-fashioned controller. The original game plays in third person. My guess is that they won't change that for the VR version, but that is not entirely clear for now. If you always wanted to give the game a try or want to revisit it, this could be the time. If you own the original version of the game, you will get the VR version for free. Good call. The game is releasing soon on Steam. For now there are no plans for a release on other platforms. There's a link to each of the games in the description below. If there's a project you like and want to support, consider wishlisting it on Steam. That will help the developers out a bunch because it will cause Steam to recommend the game to more people. It works a little bit like likes on a YouTube video, if you know what I mean, if you catch my drift. If there's a game that you think should have been on this list and that I might have missed, let me know in the comments, I'd love to check it out. Have a good February and see you next time. Thanks for watching.